morning, everybody. Welcome, Hot Takes, Goodman and Haertl. How are you, Bruce? Ready for the weekend?
I'm good. It's a Friday, Eric. It's a Friday. We had Nuggets basketball last night, or at least some form of Nuggets basketball last night. So all is well.
I've told you many, many times that one of the best events that I have ever covered was the Ryder Cup. It's one of those underrated events that it's, in theory, continent against country, the United States against Europe. And it is just an absolutely thrilling event to be a part of, whether you're covering it or not. It's just simply going. And like you, covered Super Bowls, World Series, NBA Finals, yada, yada, yada. But this is one of the best things I've ever covered. You, in some ways, feel, at least from the conversations we've had, that Summer League is one of those very underrated events that people should go check out.
Yeah, it really is. And by the way, good for you for the Ryder Cup. I think that'd be a great event to go and cover. The Summer League in the NBA is very relaxed. It's in a tremendous facility in Vegas, just off the strip at the T-Mac Center, which is, of course, where UNLV plays. But it's connected to the Cox Pavilion. So you have two games going on in very good facilities, one where the Nuggets were playing the Bucks last night out in the Cox Pavilion. And you have basketball literally going on morning, noon, and night. It's unbelievable. So you can go watch Cooper Flagg for a few minutes, come back over and watch someone else that you're very familiar with. And it's really one of those events that when you go, you don't really know what to expect. But when you come away, you think, damn, I'm really glad that I went. For basketball fans, and I mean basketball fans, It's a must-do. Go spend 2 or 3 days just watching the Summer League. I guarantee you'll have a lot of fun, not to mention it's in Vegas anyway. But pretty good stuff and a interesting start last night for the Nuggets.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, want to tell you about Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos up in Blackhawk this upcoming weekend, or I should say, the weekend of July 18th, giving away a pair of Spider Cruisers or over $15,000 in cash the weekend of July 18th. So that is next weekend, just in time for the Sturgis Bike Rally in South Dakota. Again, you get your choice between two great prizes. Get finals entries every 45 minutes from 10 a.m. until midnight during their daily cash drawings with a locked-up jackpot of over $100 or more. And guess what? I was in that drawing yesterday. I got a locked-up jackpot for over $100 or more. I went to the back right of Sasquatch. They had brand new games. They were called Monopoly. They were all 3 in a row. I came, I think, 1 or 2 spins away from winning $11,000. By the way, I did not know I was that close to winning that type of money. But I knew I'd probably win a lot. Didn't win the $11,000, walked away with $300.
Nice.
Then, of course, my entry went in to win the Spiders. I was not pulled. That's okay. Walked away with some cash. Love going to Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos up in Blackhawk. Time now for the lead.
The lead is presented by Sasquatch Casino, a family-owned casino that treats you like family.
A lot of expectations for DaRon Holmes going into last season, towards Achilles, Vegas Summer League, first game that he played. Fast forward a year, back on the floor. How did he look to you?
Pretty dang good, I thought. I thought he was the best player on the floor. The Nuggets were very slow to start and really had a bad first half, shot the ball poorly, looked a little, I don't want to say disorganized, but just out of sorts. And you can understand that first time playing in a Summer League game together. I thought they were really good in the second half, just couldn't close the deal. But I thought the one really, and there were a couple of good, strong takeaways, but the biggest one in terms of the Nuggets and how they're functioning on the parent level, on the big team level, was to see DaRon Holmes playing the way that he did. He was not great on ball, but his recovery is fantastic. Yeah. He blocked shots. He hit threes. He was strong to the basket. He did a lot of things that you can forecast for him that will equate nicely to the next level. Now, it's not apples to apples. The next level is a lot different obviously, than the one they're playing right now. But I thought it was really encouraging, and it was the one great takeaway that I took from last night.
It's understandable why he looked a little lost out there to start the game.
Yeah.
He hadn't played in a game like that, in front of people like that, in a long time.
Yeah.
You can tell the guy can play.
Yep.
He didn't look overly smooth to me. That is going to take time.
Yeah.
But as a physical specimen, he just looks bigger than everybody else, doesn't he?
Looks bigger, reacts a little differently.
Yeah.
A couple of the blocks, I think he had 2 blocks. He had one that I remember extremely well in the second half where a guy got by him by a half step coming down the lane, but he turned and recovered and was able to block a shot at its highest point. And it was one of those athletic moments that you go, damn, okay, we've got something here. But then the way that he caught and shot from beyond the arc, I mean, he hit 2 nice, really nice 3-pointers at key times in the second half that I thought were very encouraging. And he plays with a lot of joy and energy. He's one of those guys that, he just plays hard. He makes a move defensively on one end. He's busting his tail, as fast as he can go to get down on the offensive end. He's the kind of guy that I think can help to give, on what level yet, I'm not sure, but a little juice to the Nuggets.
He has a little Kenneth Faried in him.
Interesting. Okay. All right.
Big body, plays with energy.
Yep.
So, I keep reading and talking to people that, DaRon Holmes eventually will be backing up Nikola Jokic.
Yeah.
He might, but wouldn't you rather have him at power forward?
I think that's going to me, that's where I think he's going to play the most effective minutes.
Okay. And I do too. And I want to take this a step further.
Yeah.
So right now, in theory, on the depth chart, who is Aaron Gordon's backup? It's Peyton Watson.
Yeah, probably.
And I got to tell you something.
Yeah.
Quoting my very close friend, Sean Payton, no.
Did he say that to you too? Was it? That's one of his drops, but I think it was from one of your questions.
I think it was.
I think it was.
You know what? I've heard that played on other radio stations. It had something to do with the draft, didn't it?
Yeah, it was actually not. It was a good question taken lightly by Peyton. He wasn't.
Right.
He was just having some fun.
Right.
But every time I hear that drop on another station, I chuckle and think, I am almost sure that Eric was the provoker of that reaction.
I will tell you this, and God bless the late Mile High Sports Radio, but 3 of the greatest quotes to ever come out of the Broncos organization over the last 20 years have come from questions asked by people who have worked at Mile High Sports. I will start with, and I believe you're right, the Sean Payton, no, came from a question that I asked. Okay? The number 2 on the list of greatest quotes, that came a question from me as well. Not tooting my own horn, but when I tell you what the answer was, you're going to be like, oh, yeah, I remember that quote. Jano, love Jano. If we had 22 Janos.
Jano.
Oh, right. Yeah. Former special teams coach. It was a question I asked him. Mile High Sports. But the greatest answer coming from a Mile High Sports question came from my dear friend. The question was asked by my dear friend, Lisa Snyder, who is now in real estate. And, oh, by the way, is hosting a television show. Mm-hmm. On HGTV on like shopping or buying in Denver. She's a big TV star now. But she asked John Elway a question at the Peyton Manning press conference. And people probably looked at Lisa like, well, who is she? I won't even go any further down the road with that. Who is she? And the answer was from John Elway, we don't have a plan B. Remember that answer?
I've heard the bite. Yes.
Well, the question was, if you didn't get Manning, what were you going to do?
What were you going
And
to
the
do?
answer was,
Right.
we don't have a plan B. All courtesy of a really small radio station, Mile High Sports Radio. 3 of the greatest bites, in my opinion, over the last 20 years came from people who worked there. I don't know how I got on that tangent. I don't know why I'm walking down this rabbit hole. I don't even know where we're going to go next. But now I just remembered. Peyton Watson, you really want him backing up Aaron Gordon over DaRon Holmes? A guy who is 6'7", 200, as opposed to a guy who is 6'9", 240, who forget about he just looks the part. And I would love nothing more than Aaron Gordon, in which he would, to take a guy like DaRon Holmes under his wing and say, this is how you play power forward. This is how you work on your 3. This is how you play defense. So it seems like the Nuggets like DaRon Holmes in one of 2 spots, backing up Nikola Jokic or potentially backing up Aaron Gordon. Now that they are likely going to have Valanciunas in the fold, shouldn't they just stick, DaRon Holmes backing up Aaron Gordon, with all due respect to Peyton Watson, who is 6'7", 210, which is still taller and heavier than me. Thank goodness, at least with the weight. DaRon Holmes is 6'9", 240, and he almost looks like a prototypical power forward who doesn't play with his back to the basket.
Both players have good length. Of course, when you're 6'9" or 6'10", as opposed to 6'8" or 6'7", you're going to be longer anyway. But it's the athleticism of DaRon Holmes. Look, we've seen him basically in one game. We've seen him in practice a little bit, so you get a sense for what he looks like there. He's got a little rust that he's got to get taken care of. Obviously, that there's no question about that. But we are in the month of July, so I think it's okay. He seems to be a very willing, capable athlete. Yes. And I think he's going to be difficult to keep off the floor because he does defend.
Yep.
Probably not at the level, at least on ball, that Peyton Watson does. And he can also score, which Peyton Watson has not proven to be any kind of consistent factor in. So when you start to take those 2 things into account and you get bigger in the process, I think he's a better rebounder than Peyton Watson. I thought he was good on the boards last night. So I think that it does give them a very intriguing option in that first level of subs for the power forward spot. Yeah.
I think what I'll be really curious to see is, how does DaRon Holmes play, when we get a chance to kind of watch him in practice? Mm-hmm. How does he look in preseason games? Because really, it is so difficult to judge summer league. I mean, the warning I would give everybody is, and I don't even remember if you were here, Emmanuel Mudiay was unbelievable in his summer league debut. And people were like, oh my God. And then you realize that every single guy on that floor, if there were, 20 guys on the floor, 5 might have made it to the NBA.
Well, I mean, Hunter Tyson was like that, really, wasn't he? I mean, 3 years ago, he was a summer phenom, not like a Mudiay was. I remember that time. Yeah. But I'm watching him last night thinking, dude, I don't know if you're going to have a spot on this roster. I mean, he kept them in the game in the first half. They were down 9 at the break, and he shot the ball okay. But in the second half, down the stretch, he missed shot after shot after shot that could have closed the game. Yeah. Three opportunities from 3-point range that if he had hit any of them at that particular time, they probably would have won the game. Now, look, it's summer league. They got beat on the last second shot. It's no big deal. Right. I get that. But he's trying to provide moments that will equate to the next level. Then he missed a couple of shots down low. He missed a putback. He missed a up and under. To me, DaRon Holmes was the guy that really shone to be something that you could work with at the next level. And that's just in one summer league game, because you're right, Eric. And let's underscore this again. It's not translatable. Summer League basketball to the NBA is not it doesn't translate. It's a totally different world, but he's getting back on the floor. He's competing against a lot of guys that'll be in the two-way kind of category, G League level of players and stuff like that. So it's a very valuable thing for him, and that's going to be the guy I think that we pay the most attention to here for the next week.
You know what Summer League looks like to me? It looks like a better organized version of the game that you would play at your local rec center.
Fair.
Every guy is trying to look great on his own.
Yeah.
It's not really, it's a team game kind of, because that's what the coaches want. But you see a whole bunch of wild shots because every guy is trying to impress more than the other guy. And that totally takes away from the team concept, which in some ways takes away from winning. Of the four major sports, what do you think is the most difficult of these so-called exhibitions to evaluate young talent? Would it be NBA, Summer League? Would it be NHL Prospects Camp? Would it be fourth quarter of an NFL preseason game? Or would it be, and I'm going to be specific here, would it be a home game during spring training in which the opposing team, generally speaking, does not send its veterans?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the last one simply because the veterans in Major League Baseball, the guys that are going to play every day compared to the guys that are playing at the end of spring training, the AA guys or the high A guys that just happen to get an invite to get into camp are still generally a long way from getting into the big leagues. We talk a lot about Charlie Condon, and rightfully so. The top prospect right now in the Rockies chain. Well, he's the top prospect, but we probably don't see him in the big league. He'll be in the big league camp next year, but we may not see him in the big leagues for another 2 years. Now, who knows what the Rockies end up doing in terms of player personnel, but you get my point. So for me, it'd probably be the furthest away. Although I will say this, the developmental camp at the NHL level, it takes a while for these guys in the NHL to percolate as well. Even these junior A guys that come in from Canada that have played a lot of high-level hockey, the guys that have played a lot of high-level D1 hockey here in the United States, they're still, you get guys that will make the jump onto an NHL roster, but it seems to me, like Cale Makar's brother, for instance, I think he's been in the developmental system now for the Avs for the last couple of years, and I'm not sure how much closer, if he's closer at all, that he is to getting to the Avs or somewhere else in the NHL.
Okay, a couple of questions for you as we head into break. Courtland Sutton doesn't have a new contract. Do you think he shows up to training camp? Also, do you think he plays this season with the Broncos? That's next. Everyone has their favorite sports bar. Mine, the Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch in the DTC. Both locations are everything a sports bar should be. An upscale menu with 12 different burgers, outstanding wings, and my favorite, the Philly cheesesteak egg rolls. They've got every game on the NFL Sunday Ticket, MLB Extra Innings, NHL Center Ice, NBA League Pass, plus soccer, rugby, and UFC. Sportsbook is a hangout bar or great for private parties. The Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch, the DTC, and coming soon to Parker. They are the sports bar.
Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos in Blackhawk have another incredible promotion. They'll be giving away a pair of Spider Cruisers or over $15,000 in cash the weekend of July 18th, just in time for the Sturgis Bike Rally in South Dakota. That's right, your choice, cruisers or $15,000 in cash. Get finalist entries every 45 minutes from 10 a.m. to midnight during their daily cash drawing with a locked-up jackpot of $100 or more. Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos, loose slots, great promotions, great food, and a family-owned casino that treats you like family.
Everyone has their favorite barbecue spot. Mine, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew. My favorites, slowly smoked ribs, smoked corned beef Reuben, smoked meatloaf with a portobello balsamic cream sauce. And don't forget about Smokin' Dave's 16-hour smoked brisket and pork with with one of their 4 homemade barbecue sauces. Great sides, you bet. Barbecue beans made with pork and brisket and their southern corn bake. Man, you got to try it. Plus, they have amazing non-barbecue entrees on the menu. Go where I go, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew in North Denver.
Ferguson's Heating and Cooling is the best in Denver, and their customers agree. Ferguson's has 165 5-star Google reviews, and here's one from Betsy. Highly professional, prompt, and honest. I switched to Ferguson's when I became aware my former company was trying to sell me a whole new system I didn't need. Ferguson's is an honest, working, family-owned business that'll give you a fair price, the highest quality parts and equipment, and they always show up on time. You can trust the Ferguson family like you trust your own family. Go to fergusonsheatingandcooling.com.
Spice up your next night out at Nola Jane and Lodo. Authentic Cajun cuisine like andouille sausage gumbo with dirty rice, crawfish etouffee, as well as 6 different po' boys like soft-shell crab and shrimp. Come in before or after a game at Ball Arena. Host a party or party on their rooftop deck overlooking Market Street during happy hour from 11 a.m. to 5. Plus, Nola Jane caters, delivers, and the kitchen is open late night. Make Nola Jane your new favorite spot to eat, drink, and party like it's Mardi Gras.
Ever wondered where city and county fleet vehicles go when they retire? Now's your chance to find out and score big. Imagine driving away with a great deal on a reliable vehicle. For over 45 years, Roller Auction has been the trusted source for government fleet vehicles and equipment. Trucks, SUVs, sedans, and more, all selling to the highest bidder. Don't miss out. Visit roller.bid/hot takes to get auction updates today. Your next vehicle could be just a click away.
And welcome back to Hot Takes Goodman and Haertl. I want to tell you about this great heating and cooling company. It's called Ferguson's Heating and Cooling. I think it's one of the best places out there when it comes to HVAC services and also heating services as well. Their customers would agree. 165 5-star Google reviews, and this one comes from Betsy. She said, highly professional, prompt, honest. I switched to Ferguson's when I became aware that my former company was trying to sell me an entire system that I didn't need. And to me, that is a big thing. I mean, how many times have you worked with companies like that? HVAC, garage door services. A lot of these guys or gals that, do the sales call to your house, that do the fixing at your house is really one and the same person. They get commission on this stuff. They want to sell you something brand new. They don't necessarily want to fix it. They want to make money off of it by selling you a new system. I've had long conversations with Cody, the owner, Cody Ferguson. He's like, listen, if we have to go out there and fix it and I wind up losing money, then so be it. It's about taking care of the customer, not about padding my pocket. And that's exactly what you want to hear from any business owner. But when you hear it from a guy like Cody, that is a company you want to work with. So highly recommend HVAC services. You need a new furnace, you need it fixed. Go to fergusonheatingandcooling.com. That's fergusonheatingandcooling.com. Time now for What's Trending.
What's Trending is presented by Ferguson's Heating and Cooling. Your family should trust the Ferguson family for all your heating and cooling needs, and you'll see why they have over 165 5-star Google reviews. Make an appointment today at fergusonsheatingandcooling.com.
So I think it was around the NFL Combine, NFL Draft, where I think somebody with the Broncos organization said, we're going to start negotiating with Courtland Sutton on a new deal. Okay. So they have been negotiating for a while. A reliable source close to the situation told me that as of 3 weeks ago, and that was 3 weeks ago, they were pretty far apart. Same source also told me there isn't a great trade market for Sutton right now. So with that, do you think that if Sutton does have a new contract by the start of training camp, do you think there's a chance he holds out?
There is certainly a chance that he holds out. Let's think about the evolution of Courtland Sutton.
I don't mean to cut you off, but I want to ask you 2 questions, short, and then answer that question. Okay? Yeah. So you think there's a chance Courtland holds out, right?
Yes, I think there's a chance. I wouldn't bet on it.
You think there's any chance Zach Allen holds out?
No.
Why? Why Courtland Sutton, not Zach Allen?
Courtland Sutton has...
Think Nick Benito holds out?
No, I don't.
Why not?
Because
Nick
Courtland
Benito?
Sutton has missed time. He's done that. He's missed off season. He's missed voluntary workouts. He's shown the willingness to sit out, which a player has the right to do. I mean, if he wants to do that, more power to him. But you and I have chatted about this a lot. You and I and Troy Rank, when we've had him on. Courtland Sutton is 2 years ago, I thought that Courtland was combative. I thought that he felt like he was not part of the answer. He was bigger part of the question. I wasn't sure of the direction that he was going. I thought he was surly. And listen, how he deals with the media doesn't mean anything. But just from the standpoint of knowing Courtland enough over the last 7 years, he had become kind of surly, very short with the media.
There's a reason why, though. He was tired of losing. Nick Benito and Zach Allen have not had to deal with that.
No, you're absolutely
and he
right.
Never truly had a great quarterback.
Right.
So I can understand why he was upset. Courtland Sutton, you and I would both agree, is a really nice guy.
Totally.
Dude. I just have very little respect for guys holding out. I do. When you're under contract, I understand why you want a new contract, because for the most part, contracts are not guaranteed. You're going to get your signing bonus. I understand that. I understand why. I understand the point of holding out. If I get injured, I'm not going to get paid by anybody. But 95% of the league doesn't complain about, oh, I'm coming up on a contract, I want a new one. I guess I'll be strong in saying this. Be a man of your word. Be a man of your word and finish out your contract. If you get injured, I'm sorry. If you get injured, I'm sorry. Finish up what you started. You signed the agreement. Now finish it and then ask for a new one. I understand why guys do it. I just don't have a lot of respect for it. And I'm not saying Courtland Sutton is going to do that.
Right.
I'm saying in general around the NFL.
Yeah. I think, to finish my thought, I think Courtland Sutton had a really interesting transformation last year. This was a guy that was happy to be in camp, happy to be a part of this football team, happy to have a quarterback that and look, he had a good relationship with Russell Wilson. I'm not saying that he didn't, but I think that he has recognized that in Bo Nix, he has a quarterback that can help him to kind of reignite his career a little bit. And in fact, he had more career catches in a single season and his second highest yardage total in a season in his 7 years in the league. He seemed to be a part of the answer, not a part of the question last year. He seemed to be happy to be there all of last year. He was a good leader. He was good in the clubhouse. He was good with us. I feel like Courtland Sutton right now, to me, is still not a WR1 in this league. But if we last year had him going in as a WR2, maybe he's a WR1A for the Broncos. And the way that the Broncos use him, if they can figure things out, and you can get Courtland Sutton for less money than WR1 money, and you're going to get him for less money, and he can still produce at a WR1A type of level, 1,100 yards, something like that, right? You'll take that all day, not to mention his veteran presence in a very young room.
Generally speaking, a wide receiver is a dependent position on how good your quarterback is, right?
Yeah.
What would Demaryius Thomas's career would have looked like had he not played with Peyton Manning? And Demaryius Thomas told me many, many, many years ago before he passed away, he said, my career would be nothing without Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
Be nothing. I would disagree. I think he would have been good. He would not have been Ring of Fame. What would Courtland Sutton's career be like if he played with Peyton Manning? His numbers would be up and he'd probably make more money. But with that, I'm guessing the Broncos have not put their best offer on the table. They probably don't need to. There is plenty of time. There is no deadline yet. So do you think This deal has not been wrapped up. Do you think the Broncos have not put their best offer on the table because there is no deadline right now and they don't feel the pressure to get it done? Or do you think it's because they are waiting to see their young wide receivers and to see if they continue to progress? And if they do, maybe Courtland Sutton becomes expendable this season.
That is an absolutely fair question. I think just having watched this group now going into their third year together, meaning Peyton and Peyton together, I think that they would err on the side of what they know. And I think what they know is that Courtland Sutton makes the receiving room better.
Yes.
I think that that's where the Broncos are. How that manifests itself in negotiations moving forward into training camp remains to be seen. I will say this. I will be surprised if Courtland Sutton is a holdout. He's tried that. He's done it.
Right.
He might do it. He might, but I would be surprised.
Do you think he has a deal before the start of the season? And by the way, Mike Klisch yesterday reported on The Fan that Courtland Sutton's at the front of the line to get a new deal.
Yeah.
Is he?
Should he
be now, that same source I told you about earlier said he's not going to dispute what Mike said, but what he said to me in a text was, that's not what I've heard. Doesn't mean Mike's wrong. So, and that makes sense to me. I'll tell you why. If in order, you need to sign guys heading into next season in order of priority to get deals done, pick your order, and I'll just give you the three names. Sutton, Allen, Benito. In order, who's the priority?
Allen, Benito, Sutton.
Then I don't know how, according to Mike's report. Listen, Mike's really good at what he does. How is Sutton in front of the line?
He's outstanding at what he does.
Yep.
I think that they start from a closer place with both Zach Allen and Nick Benito in terms of getting a deal done. I think they're further apart to start with Courtland Sutton. And when I judge those things, just like I know you do, we're not judging them in terms of, who's more important, but I would think that would be the pecking order. Now, they may do it that way. They may not. Who knows? But there's not much difference. They're all important. They're all important pieces to the Broncos' success moving forward because all three of them are guys that have proven it on the field. All three are guys that made the Broncos better a year ago, a year that they surprised everyone and got to the playoffs, and should be a team that helps to make them better this year when more is expected of them.
If they did try and trade Sutton, I told you that source told me that there's not much of a trade market for him. And I think the reason why there's not a lot of trade market is for the simple reason why there are some pretty good free agents out there who haven't signed with teams yet. Justin Simmons is one of those guys. You just wait to see if guys get injured. Do I need someone? I can promise you, if CeeDee Lamb goes out for the season with an injury in training camp, Jerry Jones will walk to Denver to talk to Greg Penner about Courtland Sutton.
Yeah.
I have very little doubt. Doesn't mean that Courtland Sutton will be on the Cowboys, but you get my point. There's not going to be a trade market really why would you trade when you want to see what your rookies do, your free agents do? So it makes sense that there isn't a trade market for him at this moment, right? But with that, let's say they could get a 4th or a 5th round pick. And quite frankly, I put in the word 4th just to be complimentary to.
Okay, the good for you. That's a little high for me, but I'm with you.
Point.
Fair enough.
That's my point. I really don't think it's a 4th round pick. I'm kind of greasing Courtland and his talent a little bit. It's probably a 5th or a 6th round pick, if we're being completely honest. So with that, the smart business, if you're not planning on bringing him back next year, okay, the smart move is to trade him for a 5th or a 6th round pick right now, knowing when he leaves, you get nothing. How many athletes have we seen that we say should be traded, and then you get nothing, and then they don't come back, right? It's a very, very long list. So my question is, do you trade him now and get something knowing he's probably not going to come back next year? Or do you sacrifice the long term and keep him because you know you really need him to make a playoff run? Do you think short term or long term?
Yeah, but how much do they know? Do they absolutely know he's not going to be a part? If they absolutely know that he's not a part of their long-term plans, then I've got no problem with them trying to work out a trade to get something for him. You know, that's a big if, though.
First of all, they've drafted Bryant, Vele, Mims, and Franklin, all under the Peyton regime. They've drafted 4 wide receivers, second round, third round, yada, yada, yada. They've used some high draft capital. These 4 are the 4 core moving forward. At least that's what they're hoping.
Right.
I would think by the end of the season, you would hope someone will emerge as the number 1 guy, but it might not be this season. So Bo Nix feels very comfortable with Courtland Sutton. You could get something for him potentially in a trade, 5th or a 6th round pick. Do you think that if these wide receivers get better, they're going to give any money to Courtland Sutton? Really? No, they're not.
I mean, he's not going to. I mean, the duration of the deal will be the interesting thing for Courtland Sutton. He's rolling into his 8th season. Now, he missed virtually all of one season, his 3rd year in with injury. But that takes its toll too. You know, when you have a medical injury that keeps you out, that takes a physical toll as well. But you're talking about a guy going into his 8th year as a wide receiver in this league.
And coming off arguably his best year.
Yes, in many ways, his best year. No question about it.
The question is, do you need him to make a potential deep playoff run, or do you trade him away and get something for him?
Well, because the answer here, I'll just ask one simple question, and whatever the answer is, will reflect that. Is their receiving core better with Courtland Sutton?
Absolutely.
And I think the answer is yes.
Well, here,
I think that they know that.
Let me ask you a question. Let's say they trade Courtland Sutton. Who's the number 1 wide receiver? That's as simple as it gets. They hope it's going to be Vele. They hope it's going to be Vele.
You hope that it's going to be Devon Vele, but that's an unknown. I mean, I'm with you. I mean, you and I love Devon Vele. I mean, he had the catch of camp last year. We were sitting there. We see the athleticism from the guy. He's well, remember the catch? I mean, he made a catch in the air and came down with the ball right in front of us. Right. That was like it's rare when you and I look at each other like, wait a minute, did we just see that?
Right.
Because you've seen everything at this point. He's that type of potential player, but he hasn't been that kind of player. He's been hampered by some injuries. He's missed some time. I love the guy. I think we're going to like Bryant in very much the same way. I really do. I think Troy Franklin is going to have a whole hell of a lot less time being yelled at this year and being looked upon as a guy that they can really do some things. And Marvin Mims is ready to be a next level kind of player in the way that they use him. But I think there's still very strong value for the Broncos in having Courtland Sutton in that room, both in terms of as a player and as a leader for that still developing class.
Okay, so real quick. So I would agree with you that this wide receiver room is much better with him. And he definitely gives you that number 1 option. And he and Nix, their chemistry is really good.
Yeah.
So with that, okay, if you are in the Broncos front office and you believe those 4 guys are going to progress, and I asked you right now, do you think Courtland Sutton right now, you want to pay this guy for next season, knowing these guys are going to progress or believing they're going to progress and grow, would you sign Courtland Sutton to a 2-year deal, believing these guys are going to progress? Because you drafted all of them. Do you want to pay Courtland Sutton $20 million a year, believing these 4 guys who you drafted in the last 3 years are going to get better?
I think Courtland Sutton will play through this year as a Denver Bronco.
That's not the question that I asked. The question is,
I don't know if I would give him I don't know if I would go with a multiple year contract.
And that's
if it's going to cost me $40 million, $42 million, something like that over the next 2 years, I'm not sure I'm ready to swallow and take that hit.
And if that's what he wants, and you know you're not going to give it to him, now the next question is, do you trade him? Okay. Do you trade him and get something for him, or completely sacrifice the long term with a draft pick and say, we do need you this year and we're not going to trade you? You go short term or long term?
I think you got to go. I think you got to go short term because I think you believe in this team right now. I do.
Yeah.
So yeah. I would say short term on that. It's you bring it up, and the way that you bring it up, there's so many different levels to think about this, right? Because because just with one player, the moving parts around him are really significant. I mean, yes, he is one guy that you've really got to make some decisions on, because clearly they're a better team in the here and the now with him. With him like he was a year ago. There are no guarantees. We all know that. Every year's you start new. That's the Sean Payton way, right? You throw the chips out and you start new. So we'll have to wait and see how it goes. But it's a very interesting discussion, because you would have problems probably thinking about, okay, now I got a player going into year 9 and year 10 in a position where you've got a lot of talent coming in. You can make an argument there's a more draftable, there is probably not a position in the NFL that has more draftable effectiveness than wide receiver right now. There are so many good wide receivers coming into this league.
If for some reason you trade Courtland Sutton because you know you're not going to bring him back next year and you're at a contract impasse, your wide receiver room has just become what your running back room was before the signing of J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah, that's a good call. Yep.
You do not have a guy who has a proven track record, and you don't have a veteran in theory to lead the room. Now you've just flipped problems in one room to another room. And that's why, even if they don't agree on a deal, I don't know if I would give Courtland Sutton a 2-year deal. I really don't, because I like what I see out of these 4 young guys.
Right.
Granted, that is based on potential and hope and things like that. But I'd rather spend my money elsewhere, $20 million a year, whatever it is, whatever the signing bonus is, on Zach Allen or Nick Benito, because I feel I have talent in the wide receiver room. I just don't have consistently proven talent.
Right.
Yet. And I certainly don't have that leadership. I mean, are we really expecting Devon Vele or Marvin Mims to be the leader of that room? No.
It's a fair question.
Right.
What you're really hoping for are leaps, continued progress from Marvin Mims, who did take a leap last year in the way that he was being used and his effectiveness. You hope for a leap from Franklin, who's bigger and stronger. And really, by every conversation that I've had with people, even in the coaching ranks, they really see maturity from him coming into year 2, which is what you hope for, right? You know that a rookie year is going to be a little bit of a crapshoot, but if you've got some maturity and some awareness and some accountability coming into year 2, you hope that he can make a big difference. But the X factor here is something that we talked about yesterday. Evan Engram.
I was just going to say that. Well
Evan
done,
Engram is your X factor.
Yes.
He is a tight end by definition.
Yes.
He's a wide receiver by the way that he's going to play. If you get really good movement from that position and production, it makes the whole thing a lot easier to manage.
Well, the question is, we know that Evan Ingram is practicing with the wide receivers. My question is, what room is he in?
Only.
He's only in the wide receiver room.
Yeah.
No, so that's what I'm asking. Because the stats suggest, I believe, Evan Ingram over the course of his career has spent maybe 14 to 16% of his snaps on the line of scrimmage. Did you know that? His whole career. He's listed as a
I
tight
didn't know
end.
that it was 14 to 16%.
Of his snaps have been on the line of scrimmage, which is where tight ends line up. So maybe the ace in the hole, the joker, whatever we want to call it, if you did trade Courtland Sutton, is you have a proven veteran in Evan Ingram. You have a leader, hopefully. You have a veteran in Evan Ingram. He just has TE next to his name, not WR, even though he's spending time in a room that is WR, not TE.
Well, one thing I'm sure, and I'll finish with this, they move him all over God's green earth. And you know what? It's fantastic.
He's in my backyard.
You never know
right
where
now.
the guy's going to line up. Is he going to be in motion?
Right.
Well, there you go. Go out and
go.
throw him a few balls, my friend.
Look at him go. He is everywhere. Bruce, have a great weekend. To everybody out there, make it the best possible weekend you can.